And now we are joined by Eric Lamison-White. Eric is an expert in Bitcoin. He just got a patent in stablecoin. And let's bring him on here right now. And then, Eric, I've got some questions for you. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Doing great. Thanks so much for hopping on. So let's just walk through, since we're going to talk about Bitcoin, I figured maybe we'd start off with just walking through what you do and how you're involved with it. And maybe just a quick, what I always like to hear this for anybody who works for Bitcoin, what your real quick definition of Bitcoin is.
Sure. I mean, Bitcoin is a form of peer-to-peer electronic cash. But it kind of functions just more benignly as gas to use a database. And that's really what people are using it for, what my company uses any blockchain or distributed ledger for, is just to be able to use that public resource. And so for us, my role in the space is a market insight platform that uses, blockchains primarily to drive how, the information is curated. So we like low prices. So a lot of businesses, much like any oil user, wants, lower prices of the gas that powers their economy. So, the speculative angle is not really that important.
Right. That's a good point. Low prices is an important part of no matter whatever the economy is. And so you work in this field. How did you get involved in Bitcoin and blockchain in general?
Well, that goes back a really long time. Basically, I remember a long time ago, I was working on a mobile wallet back in maybe 2011, and the company just couldn't get the approvals necessary to actually transmit money. But all of a sudden, here comes this free open source, Bitcoin wallet that does exactly what we wanted to do. And so we were just like, what are we doing with our lives? And I've just been watching it, see if it actually works. You just kind of go through the emotions like, this shouldn't work. Hey, it's still working. Why is it working? So that's pretty much how I got involved.
Well, I think let's talk about what it is that you're doing right now and what you just got your patent for. Because, one thing with Bitcoin, I think for anybody who follows along, is it seems to be really volatile. I mean, I was just reading this morning about how the price has dropped, just on Bitcoin in particular. I think it's like almost 10 grand over just this year alone. And then, at some point it could completely spike back up again. So maybe that kind of explains what you're doing. Let's talk about this stablecoin and what that is and what your patent is.
Right. Yes. So a lot of people are flocking to stablecoins as the volatility has really, shaken their confidence and net worth. So
yeah.
With that in mind, stable coins are just some way to stay inside the, crypto ecosystem, but have stable value. Usually it's a parallel digital asset that is tied to the price of a US dollar or something like that, or another national currency. And so people don't have to cash out, and they just stay in and continue commerce, as well as being well positioned to speculate when they want, without having to deal with bank transfers and delays and things like that.
So it helped you basically not to lose as much money if you were,
That is exactly what people can use stablecoins for and are using them for. So there are a lot of stablecoin projects. Just this quarter, they've really started proliferating. So a lot of founders are consolidating a lot of capital, getting a lot of funding to launch these stablecoin projects. So that's, last I checked, there's probably over 50 different stablecoin products already on the market. And I would say the consumer hasn't really caught on to this yet, but it is something that is really hot right now.
Well, so you filed for yours in 2014, I believe, was that correct?
Yeah, so I have a stablecoin patent. I actually have it right here.
Nice. Oh, wait, hold that back up. I want to take a look at that again.
Yes, this is what the government sends you.
Nice, congratulations.
Thank you. So great. It just goes into a lot of different details. But yeah, so my patent describes what is now colloquially call it stablecoins, or one implementation. Basically, usually there is a parallel asset that people move all their money into. This implementation doesn't pull value away from, the actual cryptocurrency. So like consumers would be able to have their peer-to-peer electronic cash without, and speculators would get a lot more demand going into Bitcoin. So you get, your scarcity, you get your greater prices, for the consumers who shouldn't be speculating at all still get their stable value.
So how does, how would a bank fit into this? How does like a traditional style of currency fit in with this?
Yeah, so it really changes the roles. The long story short is they might not, they don't,
Okay.
but they can, as an institution that gives custody to your assets, they don't necessarily fit in, but they can make things extremely convenient. So they can adapt. They can still extract value in some way. But ultimately what you have is that, consumers don't need them, and businesses also don't need them. A lot of crypto companies, for example, don't have bank accounts, and they don't need them. On the legal side, it's been extremely hard. It's been made extremely hard for Americans to get, bank accounts outside the country, just even for convenience sake. But with stable coins and cryptocurrency, a lot of people just don't think about it. They've never really encountered that friction, and it's never stopped anyone. And so the banks that have been used to limit this really, just have diminished relevance.
And I think that's probably a kind of a common theme for a lot of this, and as people are moving into in any kind of cryptocurrency. But one of the things that I think may keep people away from it, or may worry people, which is obviously what your stablecoin's trying to address, but talking about the volatility, back to that again, just kind of like this, and I think that you use the term a crypto crash, but just talking about how that affects. How do you speculate this is going to work out? Is it going to bottom out? Are we going to see a rebound? Like, where do you see this whole economy built around cryptocurrencies going?
Yeah, no, these are really great questions. So I look at these kind of things like commodities, and commodities a lot of times are cyclical. If you go back to like natural gas or oil in some form, there's certain seasons and certain reasons related to those seasons where prices go up, prices go down. With Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies right now, you have people, buying them for this infinite, price improvement, as if it was, their chance to get in on a low price stock. But that is the wrong approach to this economy. With that in mind, in the near term, there are compelling reasons for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies prices to be a lot lower. In the longer term, as all this infrastructure improves, you'll see a lot more wealth and money just pouring into or needing this public resource, and that just makes it more scarce, which usually means higher prices, much higher prices.
I think looking at it as a commodity, like that's actually a really interesting way to look at it now that you're saying that. I mean, as I suppose it kind of is, like you're investing in it, it's a commodity, prices do go up and down. But in traditional commodities, you have people who are experts in the industry making predictions, prognosticating where it's going to go. How does that work with cryptocurrency, or how do you tie into that?
Yeah. So that's a good question too. Well, I actually do run the Pareto Network, and that is a market insight platform that is heavily focused on cryptocurrencies and looking at them from, a more holistic view. I mean, we recognize that there's just a taxonomy issue. Like, these aren't necessarily currencies. They're not necessarily commodities. Some of them are securities. And so there's like a categorization problem right now. And in the Pareto Network, we do break things down that way and are able to look at why things might, function price-wise the way they do.
I think that's interesting. That's probably a a pretty good industry to be in right now for what you're doing, because especially it's becoming, you know, we're seeing the proliferation of these and more people are starting to understand them. Having somewhere to go to find out about that information, you know, that stuff, and go to an expert, that's probably a good thing to be doing. You said it's Pareto Network. I want to make sure I'm saying it right.
Pareto Network.
Okay.
Yes, it's Pareto.network as for the domain name, the website. And basically, what's important is that there's a lot of non-objective information in the crypto space. So that's where we really try to fit in. It's not just information. There's a reason why it's objective.
That's cool. That's fantastic. Well, I mean, I definitely want to check it out because I am, you know, not an expert when it comes to cryptocurrency, but I'm definitely interested. And this sounds like a good way to find out more information and find out, you know, try to understand a little bit more about what to invest in and what not to invest in.
Yeah, no, I hope it's also a useful utility for you.
Well, Eric, thanks so much. And any other last thing that you want to let people know too about where to go to find out more about what you do? And again, congratulations on the patent. That's so cool to see. What would you like to tell people here before we sign off for today?
Wow, let's see. I would say, you know, if you are for some reason in crypto or speculating in crypto, just try to wait it out. Hold on.
Yeah, wait it out, and it's going to turn back around probably. Yeah. Well, Eric, thank you so much. Again, Pareto Network, check that out, everybody. And Eric, thanks for joining us here on Digital Trends Live.